Hey everyone, welcome to my show, My So-Called Fabulous. It is so good to come to you again today and every day that we come to you. I'm so blessed to have you as an audience and this fabulous girl that's sitting next to me that's been here twice before. For the third time, I got her back on here. And let me tell you, every time I repurpose her podcast, you guys love it. I mean, you eat it up because we are talking absolute fitness, wellness, food, and how much we love our bodies and we truly put our lifestyle all in our businesses. And so everyone, welcome to the show, Laine Bechtel. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's so good to see you.
You too. You look wonderful.
Just beautiful as ever. And you're glowing, of course. And how's your hubby? How's Chase?
He's doing great. He's doing really good. Yes.
Life is good.
Life is good.
I know. And you know what? I think we get through this C word of COVID. Get through it, and then somebody's sick, but we go, okay, whatever. Yeah. You know, we're just
home.
We've moved on.
Yes,
and,
thank God.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. I always love chatting with you.
Yes, new studio. We got a new look.
Love it. Love it.
You've been through a couple with me. So,
yes.
Well, you were on episode number 47 in season 1. We did Welcome to Wellness, and that's what we're talking about, wellness today. In episode 113. Can't believe I didn't get you on between there. And season 3, gosh, that was in April of 2022. So we did those two. And you have the Luxe Wellness is your business. So tell us, Laine, you can certainly go back to these episodes, but tell us about your business.
So I started in, it was 2020 at some point, like late 2020 is when I was finally certified and passed all the, certificates, everything. And, but I do online virtual nutrition counseling, meal planning, recipe prep, food prep, just kind of guidance education, on the nutrition and food portion. And then I also do virtual training now too. I previously kept it to just in person, but just trying to switch it up. I have a fun little idea percolating in my mind that I want to see come to fruition. So
good.
Yeah, giving it some practice with this, but I've been busy with it. Everything's full and it's been really cool getting to connect with, women all across the country and seeing me each morning.
So do you think, so pre-COVID, post-COVID, this may be a silly question, but do people want to be with you in the same room training with you? Do you still offer that? Or do they prefer to do their own thing?
I do still offer it. I think a lot of it is just due to, my marketing is on Instagram. It's through social media. I have some wonderful clients here in Fort Worth, but also too, I've connected with some incredible women in Boston and Jersey and Chicago, LA, everywhere. So I think, when I first introduced the idea of a virtual platform, people were super receptive and, left their contact info. So it filled up within 8 hours.
Right.
So it's been really cool. But as far as in the same room, no, I don't know if that's just a geographical thing or anything like that. But people, because you do workouts for people, right? You can do that, and people have their own gym, or they can go to the gym of their choice, right? That's the beauty of the entire thing, of course. 9 times out of 10, it's whenever a client does, I guess, quote, contract with me or just decide to train with me, they will kind of have a specific goal or an injury or, post baby or something like that they're working to move forward. And so it takes a very specific style of training, a lot of mind muscle connection, a lot of, building of neural pathways and, nerdy sciencey stuff.
Right. Retraining the brain, not just the body, but the brain as well.
Exactly.
Of course. Well, when I was taking Pilates from Stephanie Perry at D Method here in Fort Worth, and I've trained Pilates, 15 years now, but reformer. And we were in her studio and I was going to her classes, 3 days a week, COVID. She sold her reformers. I purchased a reformer and a chair, moved it in my home.
Amazing.
And she trains me from California. They moved to California.
Very cool.
She trains me 4 a.m. her time, 6 a.m. my time because I am an early morning, but she still trains me and virtually, and I can do it by myself. I mean, I really could. I still have my certifications in fitness, but she still trains me, and I love seeing her. But the thought for me of going in a studio, I just don't want to do that anymore because I'm so used to doing it in my home.
Yes. And there's no excuse to not do it because all I have to do is go upstairs.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, talk yourself out of that one.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
No point.
Absolutely. But I still do see my trainer in person 3 days a week.
Yeah.
I just love going to Soul Boutique Fitness Center, and I love he doesn't like training me at 6 a.m., but he does. So
you might secretly.
Yes, exactly. So I still do that. But there's that half and half because there's such great studios here in Fort Worth and Dallas.
Really are.
They're such great. I'm just like, and I know how to do it. So anyway, enough. But the bottom line for you and I is just to move, right?
Yeah.
If you could give anyone advice, I have so many people that talk to me and they do message me back when I do my workouts in the morning and I show different exercises and they're like, why do you do this so early? You don't have to. I said, it gives me endorphins. I love it. I wouldn't be such a bitch if I.
Yeah, no, seriously.
I would be bitchy if I didn't. But it helps so much. And plus, I'm so vain. It's just, there's that. Yeah, both of us here. And there's two guilty. But, just seriously, I mean, the wellness aspect, though, I was talking all day. This is the 4th podcast today. I've talked all day about we have one body we're given, and that's it. So what do you do with that body?
Well, you got to make it last and you have to treat it well. I think most of us for our 20s, they're just kind of a wash. Unless you have, your life together way better than I did.
It's a gimme, like my first marriage.
But, you could call it like that.
Yeah.
But I think that, especially turning 30 or having a baby, which now it's happening later. And I think that that's good in a lot of ways because you're more emotionally mature. And I'm speaking from my own perspective. This isn't, across the board, but, moving your body, it's not just about fat loss or weight loss or dieting or losing weight. It's about, do you have the mobility in your hips to get up from a chair that's not going to hurt you into your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s? Do you have the pliability of the muscles? Do your joints ache? Are you overdoing it with the high intensity and the running? So there's a lot of those corrections that I address with my clients. And then I'll also usually do like a Q&A on my Instagram about once a week. And typically I get a really good response, a lot of questions. And, I would say a lot of them, probably not all, actually all of them, at least one point this comes up. And so, how do you make it something to where you crave it in the morning and how it's just part of your day. And a lot of it, I think, has to do with recognizing what it gives you beyond just the aesthetics. So the mental thing, it definitely makes me less bitchy. It definitely makes my energy levels way more consistent throughout the day. And then also too, it's a form of like moving meditation for me. So I can kind of pinpoint, am I feeling angry? Am I feeling anxious? Am I feeling sad? And then I'll direct that through movement sometimes. Sometimes I just relax and watch a movie. But, if I'm angry, I'll go hit tennis balls for 2 hours and just rage hit them. If I'm anxious, I'll walk on the treadmill and just kind of lose myself in a playlist. If I'm sad, I'll just go easy on myself. Again, walk, try and get some sunshine. But it's so mental that I just feel so much better doing it versus not doing it.
Right.
So
oh my goodness. And the endorphins, I'm telling you, I can wake up not wanting to get out of bed and then get there and just going, gosh, I'm a different person. Yes. I promise y'all. I promise you. And I agree, people that I don't like exercise. I hate it. I don't like it. You got to find something.
Even just walking. Walking is so underrated. Mm-hmm. So underrated.
You have talked about that for a long time. Tell us about walking. How much? How much walking?
So in general, for that fat loss threshold, your average person, you'll want to try and hit 12,000, 15,000 steps a day. The 10,000 step a day rule is really good for maintenance. So that just means you're moving. You're not just laying on the couch existing, doing nothing. But I love a good incline walk. Just playing with the treadmill. I used to be a hardcore runner.
Yes.
My body wasn't built for it. I didn't do it when I was a teenager. So it was way harder to get into it as an adult.
I'll bet.
Which I think has a lot to do with just when you introduce it to your body too. But, my knees too, even if I'll do some sprints, it's still like, oh God, I'm going to feel that for about 4 days.
Yes.
So,
yes. I mean, it's tough on your body. And I never was. I highly dislike running. I just never, what do they call it? Hit a wall?
Yeah.
What the hell's the wall?
It's very real.
I mean, what does that mean?
It's basically when, your body physically takes you so far and then mentally it takes you so far. So like when I ran the New York City Marathon in 2017, the physical part, like that adrenaline and everything, that kind of started to fizzle out around 14, 15. And again, this is an extreme example, but the mental part kicked back in, crossing over the Queensboro Bridge and back into Manhattan and then making that right turn onto First Ave and all of those people just screaming and cheering. And so you get that adrenaline back mentally. And then when both of those are depleted, which is what happened, when you go further north, going through Harlem and the Bronx and then back down to the park, there's not as many people there. You're not as motivated. And it's just kind of like, oh, okay, just keep going. You're so close. Just that's the wall. It's like you have to literally just think, okay, left foot forward, right foot forward.
Just keep going. Mm-hmm. That's the wall.
Like I've gone this far, just finish it.
I never knew what the wall was.
That is a very literal wall.
Ugh.
Yes.
I never did. And I thank goodness I did because I have such knee and joint issues. And now, I've talked to you about this. I was doing fitness competitions for years. Mm-hmm. And I think the abuse to my body, I'm saying back when I did it, it's not that long ago either, but just the working out so many times a day and the impact on my knees. I'm suffering from it now. Mm-hmm. It's tough.
Well, you were lifting heavy weights too.
Like heavy ass weights.
Not messing around kind of weight.
No. And I don't. And my trainer now, sometimes I get into this thought process that if I'm not lifting, honestly, you are in my workouts because you have said for many years, I've listened to you say, body weight, light weights, using, no weights at all. Mm-hmm. And I remember that and look at you look fabulous, but it was my trainer's like, you don't have to lift like you used to lift. And you get into that mindset.
It's mental more than anything. It's breaking that mental chain where it's like, and cardio junkies that love that post cardio feeling, it's like you can get that with walking without a doubt. I'm huffing and puffing and sweating on a really intense incline walk, but it's not as hard on my body,
right? And
I just put on muscle very easily, so I don't lift heavy for that very reason. And if I did, I'm training 4 clients a morning, so I'm doing the workout along with them.
You are.
So I'm not wanting to.
Yeah, exactly. The heavy weights. I know. Yeah. My husband is, he's a former competitor too. And he believes in, it's hard to change his mindset of heavy lifting.
Yes.
Heavy. And our studio is right next to a gym. And I'm seeing these people in there lifting weights. And I'm just like, oh gosh, be careful.
Yes.
But, yes. So your philosophy on food. Mm-hmm. So do you adopt any type of food plan? Is there anything that you do? For example, I really do. I've changed a lot since we came back from California at the TCU game. Mm-hmm. But I have tried for years to follow paleo, non-processed foods. But I have taken gluten out of my diet. I have taken gluten out of my diet for multiple reasons, joint pain and everything. But do you adopt a particular, or are you just like moderation?
Moderation, honestly. There's truly nothing that's off limits for me personally. I've had friends respond to, eliminating gluten incredibly well too. So I think it's a very personal thing. But 2 months ago I had Taco Bell. So I had olive oil cake the other day and pasta in the same meal. Right. I think it's just a matter of finding that good mental space where it works for you. And I love food. I love cooking. I love wine. So I'm not going to be satisfied with just a bland chicken breast and brown rice.
Right. And you don't have to do that.
No. And it truly nobody does unless, there's a certain goal you have to
for sure
put nutrition towards to hit that, then absolutely. But there's this huge fear of carbs in women, especially. And it's like, I get it because I had to break it myself too. But, I feel for these women because just living that long with that amount of fear about, having a slice of cake at a kid's birthday party or, a roll at dinner or, maybe a espresso martini or whatever it might be. It's just, it incites this like deep-seated fear. And that's probably the most rewarding thing in working with clients is seeing them kind of like make that connection and be like, okay, I can enjoy this and I can enjoy my life and I can do what I want to do. And, it's not going to like derail me. Like
exactly. And it's a mental mindset too, right?
Without a doubt.
Like a mental mindset, especially when when you're restricted so much. I know that because in fitness competitions, Katie, I want you guys to meet Katie Epps. She wrote my diet plans. She trained me. And it was restrictive. Mm-hmm. It was a lot of food. I've said this before, a lot of food, but it was rice and broccoli and chicken and, oh gosh, don't eat beef, of course, just so silly, but it accomplished a goal, but and she had said, she was on the show last season and she's like, you take something away from something so long. It's not a good deal. It doesn't work out real well. So yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, living with that restriction mindset will lead you to end up binging or make the thing that's off limits to you look that much more enticing. Mm-hmm. So
absolutely.
It's a fine line, but obviously with a goal like that, yes, you do have to get super precise. So,
it's just like the gluten for me. I just had to say, okay, why are my joints killing me? There you go.
Inflammation.
And it's a food sensitivity thing too. It could be almonds or something else. So
right,
everyone know that. Okay, so what's going on in business world? I brought you on to talk about because so many people think that a life of business is the pie in the sky. Mm-hmm. It is my husband will tell you that it's the day he sold his company and retired. He's like, I never want to do that again. It was great. I got to a goal. It was a fabulous career, but don't make me do that again.
Yeah, I'm good.
You know what I mean? So how's it going in business?
It's going good. I have completely done a 180. Thankfully, I'm much happier now. So from October through most of January, it was very hard. Follow me on Instagram, the whole deal. But like anybody else, I'm human and I was definitely affected by it in more ways than one. It was a grieving process of sorts. I was grieving the loss of my business that was unexpected and, essentially stolen from me. Mm-hmm. Loss of what I thought was a friendship and mentorship and, a business partner. So, and then just that trust in humanity, to begin. I'm really skeptical like as is. So for that to happen, I had to really force myself like, okay, there is still good in humanity. And, I was shown that. And I think that was, God and the universe speaking to me, like, don't wall yourself off or you're going to be, closed off from all these opportunities that will come your way or all these good people that get put in your path. And so I just really forced myself to, have some grace in interacting, but yeah, it was hard. It was very much a, someone comes up behind you and just kind of like kneecaps you.
Right. Exactly.
You're on the ground. You got to get back up and figure out like, okay, I'm walking, or you can stay on the ground and cry and try and change history, but that's just not what happened. So
what happened with you is you had a business partner and it proved to be not a good situation. And that happens in business. It does. But it doesn't have to happen that way, right?
No, not at all. And I'm not the only one that shares this opinion because I do think had it been done right on the other end from the beginning, it could have been something really, really good. Mm-hmm. Like really, really great.
Right. Yeah. And can you explain to the people that have not followed you what your business was? You do have your training and your wellness. But you were doing a supplemental type for your clients.
So I was online retail. It was, like wellness, health-based products made in the EU on the label.
Right. Again, a lot of falsities, right?
Yeah, a lot of falsities. A lot of, I'm trying to navigate this one, but you know what I mean. But it was online commerce. And so it went well until it didn't. And in hindsight, were there things I could have looked at a little deeper? Yes, without a doubt. I'll admit that I was wrong about a lot. The things that I was wrong about that I, needed to apologize for or fix, I have made apologies, and I refunded.
There's that.
Yeah. No, that was a dark period.
Right.
That was like 2 weeks in November of just, oh my gosh. But it was really hard. And I knew eventually it would turn a corner and I would start seeing light again and something would come in to me. And so when I opened up, the idea of training virtually, I had a deluge of people in my inbox and I was really and truly humbled and blown away. I'm like, okay, like this could be something really cool. And so, I've been doing that for about, I would say 5 weeks at this point. It's been really rewarding. It's been really nice getting to know all of these women and even just the people I interact with on Instagram. Like it's, if we've never met before,
Oh, I talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, just the wonderful people out there, because for every 1,000, there's one bad apple. But, if you, with your business, and I can't remember when it was, and I just said, "Hey girl, are you okay?" I think I sent you a text.
It was like November.
I think so. I was like, "Oh no, what's happened?" Because, we get so focused on our own life. But at that time, it was a bad time for you. And I know it was, but in business, you can say business is business, but we're still all human, just like you started the conversation, and we are all human. But what would you say that are you a skeptical person and a non-trusting person?
Not really. I mean, I trust until, like, what's that saying? Like, trust but verify. That's kind of how my mind operates. But I am just naturally that way. I've kind of always been that way. Maybe it's more an inquisitive thing.
Yeah.
But like anyone else, I have my own weak spots, and I've got blind areas, and I've got insecurities that could be preyed upon. So, no one's perfect. You're not going to bat 1,000 always, always, always. But, I have a very close, small inner circle, of, people that know me, fully. And then I'm fully comfortable being myself with. But, and I lost my train of thought. What was your question? Sorry.
But this business and this business venture that you were on, that was so, it really did. When I had you on last time, it encapsulated your life. You were excited about it.
Oh my God.
You were helping change people, and you really were. And what I hate, and what reason why I had, one of the big reasons I love you, but to have you back on, is to share with people. It does happen. Shit happens,
man.
It does. But it's how you recover from that. I asked you because a lot of times when I have a business upset, I've not gone through what you've gone through, but when I've had a business upset, I made a bad decision. And who do I attack first? My husband, and he loves me and he's so loving, but it's tough on relationships because you're disappointed, but what is something I heard you say earlier, you can be preyed upon, you see you.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to these young women and men getting into business from someone you don't know? What would be your advice?
That's a really good question. I think because mine was so personal and so public, like, so much of my life is out there, and not like I'm some like influencer or whatever.
For sure, though.
But it was very public. And so I knew eventually I would have to answer questions about what happened. And, people would notice outside of just friends and family. Whereas, if you do something not social media based, there's not that big of a circle to answer to, if you will. And so God bless my husband. He's been more than wonderful throughout this whole thing. So Chase, I love you. Thank you.
Thanks, Chase.
But the advice I would give is that 99.9999999% of the time, someone wants something from you.
Okay.
So when you start entering into a dialogue, I will say I have to give humanity a lot of credit here, because so many of the new connections I formed after that whole mess was over had genuinely just reached out with just kindness and support and empathy and, just humor and good stuff like that. But, in a corporate world or, just the real world kind of dynamic, when you're just kind of navigating it without a significant event that it springboards from, that whole thing where there's no such thing as a free lunch. Like, it's always somebody's wanting something from you. So I would say, keep your heart open, keep your walls down, but not naive, but just know that,
not all people are good.
Yeah. No one's just going to give you a Ferrari and be like, here, would you like this car?
Sure. No.
Okay. What do I have to do for that? No.
You would say no.
I'd be like, nope, I'm good. Bye.
No, I'm good. Yeah. And the trust is something, and the vulnerability, of course, is there. But trusting is tough. What I've learned in business is to check references.
Yeah.
For the love. What is wrong with me? You know what I mean?
What's wrong with me?
I trust. I trust, though. I really do. I think it's Macbeth said it, a tragic flaw. I do trust so incredibly much. And I have a horribly failed marriage, my first one. But just sometimes I've learned, because you get burned. And so I would always tell people, do your homework for sure. Not that you didn't, but sometimes, it's like
it's just a tricky situation. And, the whole way that I even came to know about this person was from them telling their own version of the story on another platform. And so there were a couple people that reached out and said, be careful. But I was like, wow, well, why would I not have a reason to trust this person? We formed this friendship, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, hindsight's 2020.
I know. And sometimes you just I don't want to hear, if so excited about things that you don't want to listen to bad news.
You don't want to see it just fail. Jealous. Yeah, there's some things you just don't want to see at the time. And you just have to
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I know with dealing through a business loss and a friendship loss, like you were talking to, and you and I talked about this. This could go in any phase of your life, relationships, male, female, whatever the case may be, partner. But having positive coping mechanisms.
Yes.
What are your positive coping mechanisms that you can share?
Well, I have to tell you completely honestly, I had to learn them.
You did?
Absolutely. This did not come naturally to me. And it's been over years and years, but when all this happened, I just kind of cocooned myself, and I didn't go on social media. I think at one point I had 435 unread messages.
Wow.
I'm still hovering around 200-ish.
Wow.
I just can't find it. But, you kind of turn inward, and I started to really protect my energy. I think I'm just a little more sensitive than maybe your average person. So for me, it just kind of leveled me in every single way. And I also too, I didn't want to, be this person with this platform, however big, small it may be, talking about health and wellness and how it's, important to keep yourself anchored, and then just spin off somewhere and, completely fall off the ledge. So I held myself accountable. Routine was a huge one. I would still get up. I would have my hot water and lemon, I'd hang out with the dogs, read a devotional, go for a walk. I played a lot of tennis. And then just trying to the biggest thing, and my wonderful therapist who's based here, Beth Lewis, thank you. She was the one she told me this probably 10 years ago, but your feelings are not you. You can let them visit you, and then you can let them go. Just sit with them for a second, figure out what it is, and then say goodbye. And so I started to do that instead of just avoiding it or squashing it down, which I had a major tendency to do my whole life. And so it really helped me get through that grieving process, I think, a little bit faster, because it's only been 4 months. It's February, right? Yeah.
Right.
So
I don't know what month it is.
Yeah. But that, and then, making sure that basically holding myself accountable, practicing what I preach. I had to make myself eat. I had to make myself, cut back on the wine a little bit at one point.
Sure.
And, just not sleep till 10:30 in the morning, and which I never do anyway, but it was just, it was hard. In those first 2 weeks, I kind of gave myself license to just feel it however way I needed to. And, Chase was really, really patient and wonderful about understanding that. But after that, I was like, okay, I've got to take like the first step in just keeping this train on the track so my whole life doesn't become, the hot mess express. So,
yes. Would you identify a little bit, because I've done this recently, just a little depression?
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm
a very big, there was a very, very big sad face on the the chart. So.
You know what? I think if you admit that, because back in the day you couldn't admit that. You could, but it's a thing,
very much so. And it's something that I've dealt with since I was a teenager.
Yes.
And it never goes away. Like, you manage it, and the ADHD and anxiety also hangs out, and they just this whole little trifecta. It's super fun. But, that's also another thing. It's like, okay, the more I stick to what I know makes me feel good, despite having, a Category 5 hurricane completely upend a big, big part of my life, was just keeping that routine and keeping myself accountable to myself. I was like, do you want to feel good tomorrow, or do you want to feel awful?
Sure.
Do you want to, have your skin look awful, or do you want to fit in your pants, or, you take care of yourself. Like, you're out there, you've got all this information that people look to you for. You have to practice what you preach. You have to, walk the talk that you put out there. And so I think that was the biggest thing, would be avoiding feeling like any kind of a fraud or a hypocrite, or like, she's out there spouting out this, and I saw her black out in Gucci, like,
and your brain goes there. Your brain does go there. I mean, and you have to push those thoughts away. And it's tough when you're in that hole. You really are in there. Not too long ago, the holidays, I always think of this as so silly, depression in the holidays. I really did think that was not a thing. But
it's very much a thing.
Oh, for sure. And the stress and the anxiety, until I admitted it, I actually asked my husband one day, I looked at him and I said, Greg, do you think I have a little depression? Now, I could have cut his penis off if he said one, but he said, yes, baby, I think you do. And I was like, I needed someone to validate my feelings.
Yes.
And I just appreciated my partner validating my feelings, and it's okay. And it's almost like I got better at that point.
Yes. Even just hearing it, and like, I'm not crazy for feeling this way. I'm not making this up. Like, this is truly happening to me. Like, life isn't gaslighting me. Like, the validation, I think, is a very key turning point, and a very key kind of like catalyst on how you move forward, because you got to identify it first, and then start to figure out how to go from there. Yeah,
absolutely. I want y'all to go back to episode 47 and learn more about Laine, because you talk about your childhood, you talk about the disappointments in life, and you've been an athlete in college, and you share so much of that, and you're so transparent, and you are who you are today because you went through all those trials and tribulations, ups and downs. And I'm just looking at you today going, wow, you have a successful business. You have a bump in the road with your business, and look at how you're coping. And I do want people to remember this. You may have a setback, but everyone has setbacks.
Yeah.
You and I talked about people, we look just so great on social media because I spend a lot of damn money on the photography. Okay. I'm just saying, y'all, it doesn't look like that every day, but it's what people see, but we are sharing.
Exactly. And the whole platform is, it's a highlight reel. You're not going to see the fights with the spouse, or the crying in bed, or, just stuff that's not fun. And I actually read something that really helped kind of get me through that wall of just grieving and going through this process. But it's from aviation and flying and a pilot. But it's called the 1 in 60 rule. And so I was like, okay, well, one thing, I can do one thing a day. But basically it is, for every 1 degree that you are off your course, you will deviate 60 miles from your intended landing destination. So if you deviate, 3 degrees for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that's a much easier course correction than if you deviate like 15 for 6 months. That's a big course correction. You're going to have to think about things like, do I have enough fuel? Do I have enough runway? Is the runway that I might have to land on without fuel big enough for this plane I'm carrying? So
the course correction is just kind of checking in with yourself and asking yourself like, okay, why am I feeling this way? Can I try and pinpoint it to something? If I can't, I'll sit with it and try and, at least put a generic label on it. And then, what do I want to do better? What do I want to feel better about going into the next week, the next month? So that was a huge, huge, huge helpful thing for me. So
just something through aviation. Isn't that fabulous?
Well, I am an aviation nerd,
it works with your day to day. The 1 in 60 rule. Mm-hmm. You heard it here, everyone. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing, because this is, it's tough sharing.
It is.
And I hope everyone understands out there that we all have setbacks.
Yeah. I mean, we all have successes. We all have setbacks, but you also get to have a comeback after a setback. So it's like a whole new opportunity.
Setbacks and comebacks. I'm writing that down, y'all. There may be the title. So, well, thank you so much. How can we find you?
On Instagram, at Laine, Laine, Bechtel, Bechtel. I do have a Luxe Wellness Instagram account, but just my personal is the one that I've been sharing from. So that's where all the good stuff is.
Well, it's great to see you. Thank you for coming again. The third time. It's so beautiful. It's beautiful to see you, of course. And everyone, thank you so much for listening and watching on YouTube. Go over there, subscribe, rate, and review for me. I'd love to hear what you'd like to, what you want to see and what you want us to talk about. But everyone, have a great day. Be positive and keep being fabulous.